before we start this weekend in movies, I've been told on this piece of paper that Mike generates before the show, like us on Facebook. All right, now it's time for this weekend in movies. Let's do it.
That wasn't desperate at all. You can talk. Your mics are on. You can keep talking.
Oh, fantastic! All right, wait. There's a movie coming out on Friday.
There are several movies coming out on Friday. Did you have one in mind?
Yes, I was thinking we should talk about the Harry Potter.
Oh.
Kids love the Harry Potter.
Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1.
Right now, how many people are turning away because they're going at midnight and don't want to know things?
No, we're not going to.
If you're watching live,
we're not going to spill anything.
There's probably 75 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
And by the way, the film's already opened overseas.
I know.
So it's not like nobody's seen the film.
This really is not selling yourselves as we're the experts who have it first.
Well, but we're not. We can't fool it.
In this case, it's kind of hard.
All right.
Okay. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Part 1. This is Part 1 of Part 7, as our good friend Corey over here was making fun of earlier in the show, just before we did the show. Here's the thing. If you love the books, you probably sat around eagerly waiting for this. I have seen all of these movies. I don't remember anything about any of the preceding movies, and I have to. It's usually by halfway through each film that I remember what came in the previous film. So it takes me a little while to get up to speed. But that being said, we're starting to wrap things up, and this movie basically consists of Ron and Harry and Hermione on the run from Voldemort. They've disbanded the school. Everything's in chaos, and evil is starting to reign, and they've infiltrated the Ministry of Magic, etc., etc. And so they're on the run, and there are Death Eaters chasing them everywhere. We've got a little clip.
Hang on. Here's the situation.
Yes.
When you get these clips from the studio, Wade,
yes,
all sorts of things you got to sign. You got to get emails, disclaimers, rights and clearances, right? So with the Warner Brothers stuff, it wasn't just a rights and clearance. It was this enormous document that got sent to Corey and Mike, and we had no idea it would be this gigantic. And we wanted to show it to you, to let you know what it is that we endure, so that you get the best clips out there.
So the clip before the clip.
This is the clip before the clip.
Got it.
Yeah.
By the way, this is not a joke.
No, this is Corey. Yeah, this is the real deal. Corey got. He had to accept this, so now all you should be reading this at home. Please accept this so we can show you the clip afterwards.
Okay.
So normally what happens is, now the studios want you to play the clips because it promotes their film.
I think I understand what this is about. I think Warner Brothers has, look, they've spent who knows how many hundreds of millions just making and marketing this film. The last thing they want to see are clips from their movie showing up on YouTube mashups. So I think that's what this is meant to do, is so they can control the publicity, control the exposure in a very, very tight way. And I don't blame them for that.
And that being said, here's a clip from their movie.
Now here's the clip.
So where do we go from here? Leaky Cauldron?
It's too dangerous. If Voldemort really has taken over the Ministry, then none of the old places are safe. Everyone from the wedding will have gone underground, into hiding.
Got my rucksack with all my things. I've left it at the burrow. You're joking?
I've had all the essentials packed for days, just in case.
By the way, these jeans, not my favourite.
Go. Leave.
Okay. Now, Mark doesn't really know what Death Eaters or Horcruxes or any of that is. I sort of remembered about half an hour into the movie and eventually pieced it together. But that being said, I gotta say, I didn't dislike the film. Some of the Harry Potter films I have found excruciatingly boring. Some of them I thought were okay. The first one I thoroughly hated. This one I actually kind of liked. And even though it's very much biding its time, you feel like it's just sort of stitching events together so we can eventually get to the climax that we all know is going to happen, which is the big confrontation between Harry and Voldemort. I actually think that David Yates, who directed the previous film and this one, and who's doing the last one, Part 2 of the Deathly Hallows, he comes from British television, like so many other great directors, including Tom Hooper, who we're going to talk about later, who did The King's Speech. but he's really, really developing into a very, very cinematic director. His look, his style, his camera movement, his compositions, the art direction by Stuart Craig, who's one of the all-time greats. It just feels like a big cinematic movie. And even if the story doesn't always really kind of live up to the trappings, I thought the movie was engaging, and I thought it was just beautifully done.
You know, it's one of the first films where they really went outside of the castle and the school and whatever, and you get these, and it's almost like they're really trying to take advantage of that, because you get these enormous vistas, and they're all really, really well shot. Which
is really cinematic. I mean, I enjoyed that. And the fact that big chunks of the movie consist of Harry and Hermione in a tent in the woods, it gets a little long in the tooth at those points, especially when, Hermione drills a hole in Harry's leg and then puts the millstone through it. And
no, that's Antichrist. That's the Lars von Trier's film Antichrist with Willem Dafoe.
Am I getting them mixed up?
It was like NC-17. Remember
I've
that?
seen so many movies this year.
Is that right?
They just kind of blur together.
And there's like 8 more on the floor right here.
Yeah.
So
okay,
my thing with the movie is that I thought, you know what? I think Harry Potter fans might be bored. I mean, it's very poorly paced. It lurches along in really slow fashion, and then it kind of goes half speed, and then stops again for this long.
It feels like they intentionally wanted to take that last book and drag it out to 2 movies. They don't want to see a good thing stop. It's been a cash cow for a good decade, and they don't want to see it stop. They want it to keep going. So well, let's see if we can squeeze one more movie and another $500 million out of it.
But the problem,
it really feels like they're stretching it. I agree with that.
But the problem is that, the movie's 2.5 hours. So instead
of 2.5 hours.
Yeah. So instead of giving us more character, they give us more plot and stuff for them to walk around and do and find.
But compare that to the first film, which really had no plot. It was just like, here's Harry's first year at school. And that was really, really long in the tooth.
And this also is probably one of it's pretty much the darkest episode.
They're getting darker, as they should, because there's more and more evil. And Ralph Fiennes as Voldemort is just great casting.
Yeah.
And at this point, is there any British actor or actress who has not appeared in one of these films?
This
movie
feels
like the entire Royal Shakespeare Company has at least cameoed in one of these films.
Do you remember when they did The Godfather 3 and had not been a Godfather film for 20 years, and every Italian actor in the world,
every single one,
wanted to be in The Godfather 3, and in the end they wound up casting Andy Garcia. What do I know? Well, how'd that happen? So, but here in Harry Potter, you got Brendan Gleeson, Imelda Staunton, Bill Nighy. You got Peter Mullen. Peter Mullen's in this.
I know. Richard Griffiths, for crying out loud, who's just still alive. I think he's staying alive just to keep making these movies.
Exactly.
I saw him on stage, and we thought he was going to have a heart attack on stage. I don't know what keeps him going. That guy's like 900 pounds. It's incredible.
The only part of the film that didn't kind of bore me is there's a very clever, a really interesting animated interlude where they explain what the Deathly Hallows are.
That's a terrific segment.
Which is really good.
Terrific segment. Yeah.
That's kind of my favorite 3 minutes of the film.
It might be my favorite 3 minutes of any Harry Potter film.
That could be true, actually.
I'm pretty serious.
So I know there's a lot of people lining up at midnight to go see this thing. I think that everybody will be satisfied because they get to see their favorite characters again, and there's a bit of a budding romance between 2 of the characters, which I think was a little half-assed, if you ask me, the way it was portrayed. Because again, you got 2.5 hours to build up this relationship, and they don't really spend much time doing it.
Look, there have been better Harry Potter movies, and there have been worse Harry Potter movies, and this feels a little bit like I'm not comparing it to The Empire Strikes Back, but it feels like a middle film. Right?
It does feel like a middle film. Yes.
So don't expect any kind of closure here. This is really leading you to next summer.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that is Harry Potter. I think we did okay with that. We didn't hate it. We kind of hated it.
No, it's good. I give it a thumbs up.
I just thought it was kind of boring.
Sure, absolutely.
So there you go.
I don't know where that leaves us.
I don't know where that leaves us either.
With each other, and I'm really confused.
You know what?
I'm now watching on YouTube already. You guys suck. Which is I'm already predicting that.
You know what? Parts of it are kind of boring. But parts of it are really good, and at the end you'll be fine with it because you're going to want to see the next film anyway.
That's pretty much sums it up.
Yeah.